Hi, I'm Naeem Mawji, and today I'm going to be sharing some of the art I've been working on over the last couple of years. Each one of these pieces behind me have been created from wood, but using different techniques and tools that I have learned over the last couple of years. Each one of these has a story behind it. But before we get into the story behind all these art pieces, I would like to share my own story on how I got into wood carving. When I was in primary school, I used to take my pencil sharpener, break it, literally by throwing it onto the ground, stamping on it and getting the blade out of it. And then I would use the blade to actually carve my desk. Over the course of my 7 years in primary school, my mom actually ended up buying 2 desks for the school because I had carved all over them. To the extent that my mother then later requested the school to move me with my desk every time I moved up a class. And that was the beginning of my passion for wood carving. As I grew older, I got more into the art, I became more passionate about it, and I got into it by actually making gifts and small pieces, trinkets for family and friends. Over time, I started experimenting with different materials, wood, plastics, and also using different types of tools. I used blades, X-Acto knives, I started using a Dremel, all the way up to now, where I am now using CNC machines and a laser cutter, both of which I built myself. Let's get back to these pieces. The very first one is from the Golden Jubilee. This is actually one of my first serious art pieces. It is a motif from the Golden Jubilee. Initially, this was the only piece I had created with the intention of submitting it for the Colors of Love exhibition happening in Edmonton. When I went to submit the piece, one of the gentlemen there receiving the art pieces saw this and pulled me aside. The gentleman pulled me aside and told me that in fact the inspiration for the design of the Golden Jubilee motif came from a 1,000-year-old Fatimid carving. He quickly went into the library and pulled out this book, The Illustrated History of Ismailis. He opened up this page and showed me a picture of the 1,000-year-old carving that he was talking about. In fact, if you look closer, you can see that the flower that's in this carving right here is actually been used in the motif 4 times to create the Golden Jubilee motif. I'll show you again. This flower right here with the leaf on the top and these designs on the side were actually taken out from this and used to create this motif right here. Having heard all this, I got all excited, asked for some more time, and took the book that he had so that I could go and attempt to recreate this piece. This is when I created the first miniature version of this carving. How did I achieve that? Well, this was all I had, this picture right here. I had to use my Photoshop skills to scan the photo and to figure out every little detail that the original artist had put into this carving. From that, I was able to make a stencil, which I was then able to transfer onto a small plank of wood and then use an X-Acto knife to carve out every little detail. This larger piece behind me was done with the same concept. However, this was done 10 years after, during the Diamond Jubilee. But before I created this piece, that piece over there that you see was created first. When the design for the motif of the Diamond Jubilee was released, I looked at it and quickly realized that I recognized the design from somewhere. And then after, I was able to get access to the explanation of the artist behind the Diamond Jubilee motif, who actually say that in fact, even the Diamond Jubilee motif was made from the 1,000-year-old Fatimid carving. And I'll show you how. Now if you look closer, you can kind of see some of the similarities between this design. So you see this flower right here, that's similar to what you see in the motif right here. This portion of the flower right here inspired this portion of the motif design. So this motif is actually a sort of a jumbled design derived from this flower portion in the Fatimid carving. Hence why I decided that, you know what, this design also needs to be recreated in wood. because its inspiration comes from an old Fatimid carving that was also made from wood. This is actually just a prototype of a bigger piece that we created as a team in Tanzania. That piece is now in display at the Upanga Jamaat Khane and was initially used as part of a backdrop for the opening ceremony of the Diamond Jubilee in Tanzania. So now, let's talk about the big piece behind me. I decided to make this piece as part of the Jubilee Arts Festival. Creating something this large and this complex was something that I had never tried, but I was up for the challenge. I decided to attempt this because I had already created a smaller version of this, so I kind of knew what was involved in the actual design and I understood the design. And second was the fact that the original carving was made in wood. It was a door that was about this big and was of course to pay tribute to both the Golden Jubilee and the Diamond Jubilee motifs, which came from the original carving, which in fact was also made from wood. So what better way to honor the design than by actually recreating the original carving from which these designs were derived from. Now, instead of me boring you on how I actually created this piece, how about we go and watch a time-lapse video which shows you step by step on how this was created. Alright guys, we've come to the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I would like to point out that I'm not in fact a professional artist. This is not my job. I am a renewable energy specialist. But what I'm trying to tell you is that whatever you do in life, that shouldn't stop you from pursuing art. You could do this as a hobby. You could do this as a side gig that earns you an income, which is something that I am now trying to pursue. Or you could be a full-on professional artist that does this as their career. In one way or the other, you can always make art part of your life, whether it is as an artist who creates art or as a person who appreciates it. Thank you for listening.